going on, family? Listen, I want to continue the series that I was doing on the rules of engagement when it comes to credit, right? So credit rules of engagement. So there's some things that you got to know about credit that, that could help you along the way on your journey. So listen, one of the rules of engagement that I talked about on the previous video is this. Listen, only use credit when you have a plan, when you have a purpose, when you know exactly what you need that money for, what you need that credit for, what you need that funding for, or what you need that resource for, because that's all credit is, right? So you got to know what the purpose of you using that credit, right? The plan. What is your plan? Is it to buy a house? Is it to start a business? Is it to start a project, to do some renovation? I don't know what plan you have, but you got to have a plan before you use it, right? Because remember, right, credit it's not your money, it's the bank's money. So the banks, they can recall that money anytime, right? So you got to have a plan and a purpose. So that's one of the principles, right? Or that's one of the rules of credit engagement. So now another principle or another rules of engagement when it comes to credit is this. Listen, you have to know your borrowing cost. You got to know the numbers, right? How much is it going to cost for you to take out this loan or to take out this revolving credit? Because remember, you have revolving credit and you have installment loan. Now, installment loan, usually the cost is fixed, right? The term is fixed, so you already know how long you're going to pay that installment loan for, whether it's 5 years, 7 years. The monthly minimum payment is fixed, and the variable could be fixed, or it could be the interest rate could be fixed, or it could be variable. So that's installment. Now revolving, it kind of changes. So your cost of borrowing, it could change month to month depending on your usage, how often you're using that credit card, that credit lines, or that line of credit, right? So it really depends, right? So that's why you have to know your cost of borrowing. So that's one of the rules. That's actually, I'll say that's the second rule of engagement, right? When it comes to credit, what is your borrowing cost, right? How much is it going to cost you for you to take out that loan, for you to get that credit line, for you to get that credit card for you? Now, because remember, some credit cards, it comes with an annual fee, right? So the annual fee, that could be your cost of borrowing. So some credit cards, depending on what type, whether it's cash back, rewards, right? There could be an annual fee on it, right? So you gotta do your numbers. Make sure you know exactly how you're going to use it, or what your plan is, which is the first rule of engagement when it comes to credit. You gotta have a plan or a purpose before you use that credit, before you use that funding, before you use that that money that the bank is lending you, the money that the bank is giving you. And then the second rule of engagement, you gotta know your cost of borrowing. How much is it going to cost me for me to take out this money once I get it, right? So if it's a revolving credit, what is my borrowing cost? So if I use, let's say, $2,000 from the $10,000 line of credit, what will be my interest rate at the end of that 2 months? At the end of that 1 month period, right? So you have to know this. You have to put the numbers together, because listen, as I always say, credit is a resource. It's a tool that you can use to accelerate your plans, to expedite your plans. As long as you have a strategy, you know exactly how you're going to use that funding, that resource. I did a video also. I talked about how, listen, there's funding everywhere. Funding is literally everywhere. But you got to be qualified, and you have to be in position for you to access this funding, right? Listen, people that are positioned themselves 5-10 years ago, right? They are accessing this funding to put towards their business, towards their opportunity, whether it's real estate, business, investment, whatever it is, because they positioned themselves, they qualified themselves, they accumulated the proper skill set, the proper knowledge for them to know that, okay, you know what, if I take this funding, then I know where I'm going to put it, right? So that's what it's all about. Strategic thinking, right? You got to know exactly, okay, what skill set do I need? Because listen, we live in a digital world. We live in the digital economy, where everything is AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning and all that. So you have to be able to understand where is the economy, what are the trends. And also, listen, you have to start using MOOCs, MOOC, massive open online courses. Listen, these are resources that's there for you to learn about pretty much any subject, right? A lot of these programs, or a lot of these courses that are offered by, let's say, Harvard, MIT, Stanford University, all these big, listen, there's a platform, or there's a resource called MOOCs, massive online open courses, where you can take some of these courses for free. Now, when I mean courses, I'm talking about some good quality courses on machine learning, artificial intelligence, coding, JavaScript, the Web 3.0, what else? Basically, listen, anything to do with, the advanced aspect of of the internet, right? The internet of all things. You can learn these courses for free. It's what's called MOOCs, massive open online courses. There's a bunch of all these universities, right? They have courses that you can take for free, and then there's some courses where, right, it's premium, but the price that you pay for the course, right, it's insignificant. It's really not that much, depending, based on the information that you're getting, based on the knowledge and the knowledge or the information that you're going to be retaining or that you'll be accumulating. Listen, the money is insignificant because listen, you are learning new skills, you're learning new knowledge that's preparing you, for the future. So MOOCs, that's what you want to learn. I mean, that's what you want to research. Research MOOCs, massive open online courses, because listen, you can learn anything that you want on the internet and outside of the internet. Especially on YouTube. Listen, there are some good channels that you can really learn some practical information that you can apply. But then there's also a lot of BS on on YouTube. So you just got to find the right channels where you can learn, right? A lot of these MOOCs program that I mentioned, massive online open courses on machine learning, on AI, on coding, and on WordPress, whatever. Listen, there's some videos that you can learn on YouTube, but then at the same time, if you go outside of YouTube, if you look or you research for MOOCs, people, MOOCs, MOOC, massive open online courses. There's tons of courses about every subject that you can learn. And now a lot of these courses are offered by the big universities, right? But these, brand name, this prestigious universities. So the Stanford, the MITs and all, all these schools, they all have a MOOC system, right? So they're just offering free courses. That's why, listen, before you actually, before you enroll into a course or into a program, listen, go through these MOOCs program, right? Take some of these MOOCs program, right? Because, there's different types of program. And I mean, some of the information is quality that you can apply, take them and see if that's what you want to do, right? Once you figure out that, okay, you know what? I like this. I'm interested in this. I can apply this. I can really, apply this and, to use it to improve my situation. So therefore, okay, I'm going to actually go and invest the money to enroll in this course, right? Or to actually go to the university route or the college route, right? But the MOOC system is there for you to kind of get a feel, to get an understanding, to see if, hey, is this what you want to do? Do you want to get into tech? Do you want to get into business? Do you want to get into coding, JavaScript? All these different digital skills that are basically these are the skills of the present, right? And that's creating the future, right? So you want to be able to understand this. So that's why the rules of engagement of credit is very important, because it connects to all this. Because once you know what you want to do with that credit, once you know what you want to do with that funding, and you have a plan, a purpose, a strategy, whether it's to invest in your learning, invest in your personal development, invest in you, in courses, investing in developing and sharpening your skill and you're mastering your craft, then that's when you can start using these funding for, these credit for, because remember, right? Information and knowledge, you want to be able to learn a skill set that you can immediately apply, right? Process knowledge, right? You learn something and you can apply it, whether it's in your business or in your career. A skill set that will help you advance, that will help you progress, right? So that's why understanding how, because listen, as I said, the funding is there, the credit is there, the money is there, the capital is there, but you have to have a plan, you have to have a strategy, you have to have a purpose of knowing, how am I going to access this funding, how am I going to use it, and how am I going to pay it back? So that's why, investing in yourself, in training, in education, in acquiring the proper skills, in acquiring the skills that you can apply immediately, that can generate some sort of, that can compensate you, or that you can use to advance your career, or that you can use to position yourself, whether it's in business, you want to get into online business, you want to get into digital business, right? So you're investing in the skill set that will prepare you for the digital economy. So understanding that there's capital, there's funding, there's credit, and now you have have a plan, you have a strategy, and you know what kind of skill set that you need, what kind of information that you need, what kind of knowledge that you need that will help you advance in your position, or that will help you, improve your condition, that will help you, give you more value in the marketplace. That's where funding comes in. Funding and credit is everywhere, but you have to know how to use it properly, right? And you have to be in position. You have to be qualified. You have to have the right, you have the mindset has to be there, right? You have to know exactly how to use this capital, because listen, we live in a credit-driven society, economy, where the government's the printing press is printing, banks are still creating credit, right? So there is really capital out there, there is funding out there, but it's got to be used for a purpose, right? The purpose is it's got to return, you got to be able to pay it back, and then you also got to be able to use it to advance your, to improve your situation. So that's why, listen, MOOCs, massive open online courses, right? You can listen, it's free resources that you can go to. There's open courseware. There's a ton of information on the web that you can start accumulating to give you some relevant skills, some marketable skills, some valuable skills, some skills that people will pay you for you to apply what you have learned, right? So that's why getting these skill set, getting these information, knowing what type of information that that's in demand right now in the marketplace is very important, right? Now you don't want to let capital and money be an impediment, right? Or be a hindrance, because the funding and the capital is there. If your credit is in position and you know that, hey, listen, I need to take this course, I need to get this skill set, I need to, I need to make myself more marketable, more valuable in the marketplace by acquiring this skill set, by getting this information. So therefore, listen, if you have the credit, that's what it's there for, because you have a purpose, you have a plan, you know that the course or the training or the information that you are getting, that you are receiving, you can apply that in the marketplace, and the marketplace will pay you for it because it's a marketable skill. You're adding value into your your resume, or into your self-development, your personal development. That's why understanding the purpose of credit, understanding the cost of borrowing is very important in your personal development, your career development, even in your business development, people. So check out MOOCs, right? Massive open online courses. Just Google it and you can learn anything that you can learn about: coding, JavaScript, web development, AI, machine learning, all the information that you need. It's there, right? So, go Google it. Listen, and here at My Credit Funding, listen, I give you the process information about funding, how to position your credit so you can get business funding. Because listen, there's one thing that you have to understand about personal credit is this: once you get personal credit, right, the banks have a risk department, right? Listen, once the bank approve you for any funding, the risk, let's say it's a credit card, so line of credit on the personal side. Listen, the risk department will always, what they usually do is every 3 months or every few months, they will check your credit history just to make sure that your credit is still in position, that you're not going out there, getting more credit, more inquiries, your credit hasn't dropped, that there's no collection accounts in your credit profile. So the risk department is always checking you out after the bank gives you credit, because once the risk department sees that, hey, your credit score has dropped drastically, then it raises concern for them, right? So they might shut down your credit card or your credit line, or they might limit your credit limit, right? Or because if they limit your credit limit, let's say you had a credit limit for $10,000 and you had a balance for $5,000, right? So you're at a 50% utilization. If they cut that down, if they limit that, or they cut it down to $5,000, now your utilization is 100%, which means it will impact your credit, and then it will lead to other credit card company, other banks closing down your credit, because they see that, now you are at a high risk category because you are using too much of that credit limit. Your credit score is dropping and all that. It's dropping drastically. So, on the personal side, there's always that risk factor of knowing that you gotta make sure that you're maintaining your credit. Even after you get it, you maintain your credit history, your credit profile, to make sure that the risk department is not shutting down your credit card, your credit lines, your lines of credit and all that. Because once they start shutting it down, then now you don't have any resources. Because listen, Credit is just a resource and it's a tool. That's what I said. You got to have a plan. You got to have a purpose, an objective. You got to have a strategy, and you have to know how to use that resource, because that's all it is, right? If you have it and it's there, if you're not using it, it's there. It's not costing you anything, right? But the moment you know, oh, you know what? I need to invest in some training. I need to invest in some tools, some equipment, because I have a project, I have a plan, I have a business idea. I have, I want to make myself more marketable, more valuable to the marketplace, to my employer. So therefore, I do have some funding. I do have some credit. Let me invest that in getting these marketable or these skill set, because I know once I get the skill set, this tool, then it will pay. It will pay for itself. So that's why you need to have a plan and a purpose to understand what credit is for. It's just this tool. It's a tool. It's a resource that is meant to use to advance your position, to advance your situation, to make you, to help you progress, to accelerate your plan. But it takes a lot of knowledge, understanding on how to manage it and how to maneuver and how to use it properly, so that way you don't become you don't get trapped into the whole credit cycle or into the whole credit debt cycle, right? So listen, understand the rules of engagement when it comes to credit. You got to understand you have to have a purpose before you use it. You got to have a plan and a purpose before you use that credit, and you have to know your cost of borrowing, right? What is it going to cost me? Is it worth it? Is it worth me using the credit to buy this tool, right? Is this tool going to help me? Is this information going to help me if I use the credit to invest in myself? So that's what you got to ask yourself. Right? It's a risk and reward, right? Okay, I'm using the funding to educate myself or to improve my skill set in the marketplace. I don't want money to be an hindrance, but I do have the capital, I do have the credit, so let me invest that in getting some equipment, in getting some tools, in getting some courses, and getting some skill set, so I can be more valuable in the marketplace, because that's what it is. Listen, the marketplace will pay you for what you can do, for what you can deliver, for what you can, the result. They will pay you for result, for you producing result. They will pay you for your skill, for your insight, for your knowledge, for your for you producing the result that they need, people. So as I said, Funding Academy, right? If you go to the Funding Academy, the link is below on the description box, right? I teach about positioning your credit, your personal credit, so you can get business funding, right? Because business funding is it's more resources, right? Because with the business funding now, you can use that towards growing your business, right? Or, slowly, right? Because now you can take your time. Once you have the business revolving credit, the credit cards, the credit lines, now you can take your time to get the proper information, to educate yourself about business, get the knowledge, get the training, get the tools, get the information, so you can position yourself whereby once you start using that business revolving credit lines, now you can use it wisely to grow your business, or to grow your digital empire, or to grow your intellectual property, whether you want to start a podcast, where you want to start your blogging. So now you have some resources, right? You have some funding, some credit that you can use slowly to help you grow, because that's what it comes down to. At the end of the day, it comes down to resources, right? You got to have resources. If you don't have resources, then listen, you will always be catching up, right? So resources gives you that competitive advantage in the marketplace, right? It gives you that competitive advantage in this capitalistic society, having resources, right? Because the resources now, if you have a plan, if you have a project, you have the resource, whether it's the funding, it's the credit, it's the your connection, or your connection with with the financial institution, right? You can just go to them and say, hey, listen, I want to start this, I want to do this, I have the skill set, I have the knowledge, I just need some resources. Whether it's you need funding from them, you need their support for them to provide you with the legal department, some training. That's what it comes down to. You gotta have resources, and funding and credit is just resources. That's all it is. But you gotta know how to use it properly. That's why educating yourself is very important. Getting the proper information, the proper knowledge to position yourself. So listen, go to the Funding Academy live. There's a lot of free courses that's there. There's a lot of free resources, ebooks, PDF, checklists to help you position your mindset when it comes to, if you want to create your own intellectual property, you want to create your own digital content, right? I give you the free resources that you need if you want to understand how to maneuver in this digital economy, right? The tools are there, the resources are there, and they're all free. And there's also some resources on how to position your credit so you can get some business funding, right? Because that's all it is. It's just resources. You can get some business revolving credit to put towards your business. So listen, as I said, go to the Funding Academy, go get you these resources. It's free. There's the MOOCs, right? Listen, it's all about positioning yourself now so you can capitalize on the opportunity that's coming up, right? So, because we don't know where this economy is going, but you want to be in the position where you're qualified. You got the knowledge, you got the skills, you got the funding, you got the resources, you got the capital, and you can make moves, right? So listen, I'm out. I'm going to see you all in the next video. Peace.